And welcome everyone. I'm going to talk today about mistakes in declare a play. And I did a few months ago, I did a talk on declare a play in No Trump. And there's a video of that. I'll include a link to it at the bottom of the video. And I did then talk about declare a play mistakes in No Trump, common mistakes. And this time I want to talk about declare a play mistakes in a Trump suit. But the common declare a play mistakes in No Trump that I covered then are things like this, like leading back the opponent's suit. That's something beginners sometimes do. They lead a suit and you lead it back. Very rarely is that the right thing to do, especially in No Trump. Things like leading honors rather than leading towards your honors, not finessing, getting stuck in the wrong hand, not taking care of entries, doing things like finessing by leading an honor. And a common mistake by beginners is to just cash your tricks rather than thinking about establishing suits. And then in no trump, not ducking is sometimes wrong, and sometimes ducking is wrong. So those were some of the things I talked about then. And today I'd like to talk about mistakes in a suit contract. And the mistakes you can make in a suit contract are really all the above mistakes and then some others. And they all tend to focus around Trump suits. So not drawing Trump, that's a very common mistake. I often see people, instead of drawing Trump, doing other things, and I'm sort of watching and thinking, why aren't they drawing trumps? It is sometimes right not to draw trumps, but only when you have a specific reason. So when you get playing in a suit contract, I would suggest you start off thinking about, shall I draw trumps? And if there's no reason to delay it, you should draw trumps. But sometimes there is a reason, and then it's a mistake to draw trumps when you should do something first. Other mistakes common in a suit contract, and we'll look at some examples of all of these. Roughing in the long hand or cross roughing when this is not appropriate. So roughing in the long hand, I mean, if there's a hand, if one of your hands has got more trumps than the other, it's often a mistake to rough in the hand with a long trump suit. Whereas roughing in the hand with the short trump suit is often a good thing, will often gain you extra tricks. So I see a lot of people do this. One of the most common errors I see. And there are some others too, like roughing low and risk being over roughed. That's a common error. And if you are drawing trumps and you find out that there's just one high trump left, very often you should leave it out. And we'll look at what can happen if you make the mistake of drawing that last trump. So I'm sure there are other mistakes possible, but I'm going to switch to looking at some hands involving some of those mistakes. So let's have a look at this one where you as south, you open one heart. There's a one spade overcall. North bids three hearts. And
Excuse me, Tony.
yeah,
I think people are having a trouble logging on. I know Maureen is.
aha. Yeah, a few more have joined, I think. So let's have a look at this hand here, where you end up, as I was saying, in four hearts, and the opponents lead the king of spades. And what you should do in a suit contract is work out your potential losers and then see if there's a way to avoid that, and then decide if you want to draw trumps first or if you should do something else. So what I'd like you to do is think about how many potential losers you have on this hand here. And let's suppose you win the first trick with the ace of spades. I'd like you to work out what card are you going to lead from dummy at trick two. So that's going to be the subject of the poll. You win the first trick with the ace of spades here, and the poll question, which I will launch in a moment, is which card are you going to lead from dummy? And before you work that out, you need to work out your plan. Count your losers, work out how you can avoid some of those losers. And then the question is, what should you lead from dummy at trick two? I'll give you a moment to think about all that. end the poll there and have a look at the results. And the majority here has gone for the ace of diamonds, with votes for a jack of diamonds, a heart, or a spade. So let's switch back and see what we think. Well, it's essential, as I was saying, to really focus on your potential losers here. And if I do that, I can see that I'm got two potential spade losers, one heart loser, I'm missing the ace. I've got no diamond losers, and I've got two club losers. So I start off with five losers there, and I will only make 8 tricks if the opponents take those tricks. So on this hand here, we win the ace of spades, and we want to try to avoid some of those losers. Unfortunately, we can in the diamond suit. We've got the top diamonds, and if I play 3 rounds of diamonds, I will be able to discard twice from the south hand. So I would be able to save 2 of those losers. So after you've won the ace of spades, the right card here, I'll just click on the GIB button, is the ace of diamonds. Yes. If you play anything else, you risk being defeated by 2 tricks. Well, that's what the red 2 means. But once you work out that you have 5 losers, you see you don't want to draw trumps here. If you draw trumps, your opponents will get in and they'll be able to cash their 2 spades, and later they'll still take their 2 clubs. So you need to delay drawing trumps on this one, cash the ace, and of course the king falls, but you can now cash the queen and the jack, discarding your spades. And now you've done that, you've avoided those spade losers. Now you turn your attention to trumps. You start drawing trumps. The opponents will get in and they may try to cash a spade, but you can ruff, draw the remaining trumps. And once all the trumps have gone, just play on the clubs. You'll make you'll lose 2 tricks there, but you'll make the rest, and you'll make your 10 tricks. So well done, the slightly over 50% of you who said, yeah, you need to cash the ace of diamonds here, and you should need to delay drawing trumps on this one. Do stop me if you've got a question about that. And let's have a look at this one here. So again, this time we're in 4 spades, and they lead the ace of hearts, and I'm going to look at my losers here. So I've got no spade losers, but I've got 2 heart losers, and I've got 1 diamond loser and 1 club loser. So I start off with 4 losers. By the way, when you're counting your losers, you should look at it from the point of view of the hand with the long trump suit, but taking into account all the strength in the other hand, which is normally dummy. So we have 4 losers here, 2 hearts, a diamond, and a club. And I can see a way to avoid one of those losers, which is on the clubs, because I can force out the ace of clubs, and I'll be able to run the clubs and discard, hopefully, a diamond loser. So that's my plan on this hand. Now they start off taking 2 hearts and then switch to a diamond, which we take with the ace. And you need to think about whether you need to draw trumps first or whether you need to delay drawing trumps. And if you can, you should draw trumps first. And I believe that's the case here. I can draw trumps here, and I've still got time to set up the clubs before they take their diamond trick. So if you can draw trumps, you should draw trumps. There's no reason to delay it here. I'm just going to start off taking 1 round, play another round. That's 2 rounds gone, east discarded. So there's 1 more trump. I'll draw that last round. And now I can play the clubs. I'll play the clubs, keep playing them until they play their ace. And then whatever they play here, if they play a diamond, I can win that with the king. And I've got time to now cash the last 2 clubs, discarding the diamond, and of course taking the last 2 tricks. So don't delay drawing trumps unless you have a reason. If I replay this hand, but see what might happen if I don't draw trumps. So we'll play it exactly as it was before. If you don't draw trumps, if you try to establish the clubs, then what could happen is they might let you win that first one, but take the second one, and now East can give his partner a ruff because you haven't drawn trumps. So played that way, East-West will make 4 tricks. You'll get back in whatever they play here, and you'll be able to make the rest after you've drawn trumps, but you'll be down 1. They've already taken 4 tricks. So do interrupt me if you have any questions about that. Let's try this one. And here you open a heart. North bids a spade. You rebid 2 clubs. That shows at least 5 hearts and at least 4 clubs. Your partner jumps to 3 hearts. So they've got something like 10 to 11 points, 10 to 12 points, and 3 hard heart support for you, presumably. And you end up in 4 hearts. And the opponents lead a spade here. And I'd like you to start off on this hand counting your losers. So with typical distribution, can you tell me how many potential losers? I'm going to launch a poll in a moment. And the question is, how many losers do you think you have here? You count the losers from the point of view of the south hand, because you've got longer trump there, but take into account. So go through the suits one at a time. And the poll question is, with typical distribution, how many losers do you expect? Have a look at the results. And most of you have said 3. Maureen, I keep muting you because you're talking in the background there.
Oh, sorry.
So yeah, don't unmute yourselves. So most of you have said 3, but there's one person has gone for 2, 4, or 5. So let's switch back and see what we think. So if we look at the spade suit, I'm hoping I'm only going to lose 1 trick there because I can ruff if they lead another round of spades. In hearts, I'm expecting to lose 1 trick. With normal distribution, the missing hearts will divide 3-2, and I'll only lose 1 trick there. I don't have any diamonds to lose, and I'm missing the ace of clubs. So I think there are 3 likely losers there, or virtually certain losers, I would say. If anyone who voted for a different number would like to tell me why, you can unmute yourselves and tell me. But there should just be 3 losers. But we're going to have a look at how this hand might get played and how making a mistake could actually cause you to go down. So let's play this as it should be played. Let's suppose you can play the queen or not. Whatever happens, they win the first trick, play another spade, and you ruff that one. And what I'm going to do on this hand is play this in various ways, but this time I'm going to start by drawing trumps. I can draw 2 rounds of trumps, and as I play them, the ace king, I watch what happens, and everyone follows. So that's good news. That means there's just 1 trump out, and it's a high trump, and I'm not going to make the mistake of trying to draw it. I'm going to let them rough in with it whenever they want. Instead, I'm going to turn my attention to setting up the clubs. So I'll play the clubs. At some point, they'll take their ace, but whatever they play, actually, if I show you the 4 hands at this point, if I go back 1 trick, having taken the ace of clubs, it's now a good tactic by West, who's got the queen of hearts there, to play it because they take 2 of my trump. But if they now switch back to spades, let's say, I've still got a trump left. It's my very last trump, but all my minor suits are now good to run. So I can now take my clubs and claim the rest, and I'll make 10 tricks. There's a number of ways that you can go wrong on this hand, and I'll just show you some of them. So this is the same hand played slightly differently. And let's suppose that Declare on this time starts off with the ace king of hearts, but then makes a mistake of drawing the last trump, the queen. So what can happen now is that you've weakened your trump holding in the south hand. If they now play a spade, you can win that with your very last trump. But now, when you play the clubs, they'll get in and you're out of trumps. So, fortunately, on this layout, they can only take one trick. They can take one spade trick, but that will defeat you. You can take the rest now, but you'll only make 9 tricks. And that going down there was because you drew the third round of trump. Another mistake that people make on a hand like this is they try to ruff spades in the south hand. That's a very common error, and it won't gain you anything. You're going to make 4 spades here. You're going to lose one, but make the rest. So you make 4 tricks. And if you try to ruff spades in your hand, you're again weakening your trump position. So let's see what happens if you do that. You might cross to dummy and try to ruff a spade in your hand, which succeeds, but it was a pointless exercise and it actually weakened your trump holding. So now if you play the ace and king of hearts and then maybe go back to playing clubs, the opponents will get in, and West, of course, can now draw your last trump with the queen, and then they'll be able to cash a spade like before. And again, whatever they play now, you'll gain the lead and you'll be able to win the rest of the tricks. But again, you'll go down. And this time you went down because you tried to ruff a spade because you did ruff a spade in your own hand. Again, and here's another way it might be played. This time, declarer is going to make 2 mistakes. So they're going to, on this line of play, cross to dummy and ruff a spade. Then when they draw trumps, they're going to make the second mistake of also drawing the third round. And of course, now they're completely out of trumps. I hope no one would play this because it's a very bad play. Now the defense will get in, cash the ace of spades. They can force out your ace of diamonds. And now when you play clubs, they'll get in and they'll actually be able to run the remaining diamonds because you're out of trump. And actually played this way, you could go down 4 tricks if you make both mistakes together. So try to avoid those mistakes, especially I see so many people trying to ruff in the long hand, and it's nearly always a mistake, or let's say often a mistake. There are situations where it's right to try to ruff in the long hand. And actually, this is one here. Here you open 2 hearts, and after a 2 spade overcall, your partner takes you to 4 hearts, and down comes dummy. And you can see you've got a very nice dummy there with 4 aces and a fit for you in hearts. And again, you start off in a suit contract working out your potential losers. And I can see 2 spade losers. In hearts, I may or may not lose to the queen. I've got 9 trump, missing the queen. So the normal play is to cash the ace king and hope that the queen drops. So we might have a loser there. I don't have, well, in the south hand, I've got a diamond loser, although maybe I could ruff that. But the other, and in clubs, I don't have any losers. But what I do have is a nice club suit in dummy. And in fact, with normal distribution, if I could set up that suit, that would provide a lot of extra tricks for me. And that's probably the best option here. So what I'm going to do on this hand is win the ace of spades. And again, I need to decide if I want to draw trumps here. And this time I think I do, because I'd still be able to set up the club trick. So I'm going to start by playing the king of hearts, maybe playing another heart. The queen drops, so that's good news. And in fact, that's all the trumps gone. So I got a favorable division. And now I'm going to turn my attention to clubs. So I'll cash the king, the ace. And if everyone follows, now I'm going to play another club, ruffing in the long hand here. But that's a good thing to do because what you've achieved is you've now established the clubs in dummy. So now I can cross back to dummy. All the trumps have gone and I'll be able to cash three clubs. And in fact, I can discard all my losers and make all the tricks on that one. So all that one needed was a favorable division of the clubs in particular. And I just wanted to show you that, as it was an example where we did rough clubs in the long hand, but we had a reason for it. And there are reasons to do it, like to get back to your hand, or as in here, to establish a suit. Finally, let's have a look at this one. This is one I sent by email at the weekend, where North opens a heart, you bid a spade, and North jumps to three spades. So that three spade bid should be a medium hand for opener. They opened. So that should be a six loser hand. And once you've found a fit in spades, you can count your losers too. And I think I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 losers as well. So I'm thinking of a slam here. If I bid four no trump and they bid five spades, here I'm playing five Roman key card blackwood. So the five spades shows that they've got two missing key cards, which would have to be the two missing aces, and they've got the queen of spades. So I bid six spades here. And let's have a look at how this one might go. They lead the queen of hearts. And on a hand like this, where you've got equal trump length, you often need to think about the different ways you might play this. For example, I can see there's a potential to ruff diamonds in dummy, or there's a potential to ruff hearts in my own hand, or you might just decide I'll draw trumps first, which will presumably take 3 rounds. Or maybe you're thinking about cross ruffing, ruffing diamonds and ruffing hearts. So you need to consider those different possibilities, how they would all work out. And I've got the final poll of the afternoon for you, which is, let's suppose you win the first trick with the ace of hearts. The question for you now is, how are you going to what are you going to play next? What's your plan on this hand? And in particular, which card do you think you should now lead from dummy? So have a think of it, have a think about it, try and make your plan. And the poll question is, which card do you think you should lead from dummy now? Look at the results so far. So the most popular response was a spade, a trump, followed by a diamond or a low heart. And let's switch back and see if we can make a plan. So we can think about of the different options here. I mean, one option which you may occur to you is you may think, well, I'll just draw trumps first. But that's going to take 3 rounds, presumably, and it will leave you with just one trump in each hand for ruffing with. And I can see, for example, that I might want to ruff a couple of times, maybe ruff 2 hearts or maybe ruff 2 diamonds. So you could draw some trump, but I think we'll do better if we can do some ruffing here. And you may be thinking in terms of cross ruffing because you've got short sorters in hearts and in diamonds. But I also want to cash my clubs here, and I will need to draw trumps at some point, or I won't be able to make 4 club tricks. So the other possibilities you may think of is ruffing diamonds in dummy or ruffing hearts in your hand. And let's work it out either way. Well, if I ruff diamonds in dummy, I'm going to lose a diamond. I have to lose a diamond. And then maybe I can ruff twice and maybe make 12 tricks. But what about ruffing hearts? If I could ruff hearts in the south hand, if I could ruff 2 hearts, then the only losers I'm left with then are 1 diamond. And that diamond could be discarded on the 4th club. I've got 4 club tricks. So on this hand, I think the winning strategy is to ruff hearts in the south hand. I hope you can see that if you try to ruff diamonds, you're always going to lose a trick. Whereas I might not, I am hoping not to lose any tricks if I could ruff hearts twice. So I'm going to, after winning the ace of hearts, I'm not going to cash the king of hearts because I can ruff the hearts straight away. And obviously by having fewer hearts gone, it decreases the chance of being roughed. So I'm going to lead a low heart. That's my what I think is the best card to lead. You want to ruff that one, and then we just want to get back to dummy so that we can ruff the last heart. There are various ways you could do that. The king of clubs looks pretty safe, and then I'll play another heart, which of course I'm going to ruff and ruff that high. It's actually slightly easier if I ruff this with the king rather than the jack or 10, because then it'll be easier to get back to the north hand. So the cards are equivalent, but I'll just ruff there. And now I'm pretty much done. All I need to now do is draw the trump. So draw one round, play another round, and they divide. So I can draw the last trump with the ace. And now I can make the rest of the tricks. I can take my 3 clubs. On the 3rd club, of course, I discard a diamond. Then I can play the ace of diamonds, ruff the last diamond, and cash the king. So played that way, you should be able to make 13 tricks simply by ruffing 2 hearts in the south hand. So that was it for today. As I said, when this hand was played, no one bid a slam, and everyone stopped in 4 spades. And the majority did not make all 13 tricks. But I hope you can see by ruffing hearts, it's a lot easier to, it should be relatively straightforward to make 13 tricks. Whereas if you try to ruff any diamonds, you're always going to have to lose a diamond trick. So that's a tip when you've got equal trump lengths. Try and consider it from both hands' points of view and try and work out the best line of play there. Anyone have any questions on that?